Hi there. Give me 1 second. There we go. So welcome to this week's Who Would Win. A little late, but still, no. By the time I'm done with this video, it will be Thursday. But whatever. I didn't get around to doing it before I left for work today, or the night before. And yeah. Anyway, but I'm here now. So this week's Who Would Win is Kratos from God of War versus Death from Darksiders 2. Literally the demigod God of War versus the Horseman of Death from their respective video game franchises. I chose this matchup because Kratos is a very popular character. He gets a lot of who would win death battles a lot of time from people. He fought in a death battle with Spawn and Screw Attack. And I wanted to pick a character that they has not fought, to the best of my knowledge, in most mediums. That would be a cool character for him to fight. And I've always wanted to use death in a death battle. So I played Darksiders 2. That's a fun game. And I figured they have similar builds. They're kind of based off similar concepts in many ways. They're fighting deities and things beyond, normal comprehension, all biblical sense with death, gods of Olympus for the Kratos. So I thought they both work well. So Kratos is a demigod chosen by Ares, forced to kill his family, wears his loved one's ashes on his skin. Self-centered, he's extremely easy to agitate. Durable enough to withstand blows from Titans, stronger than Hercules himself. And the durability from the Titans is a big one. Because the Titans are the parents of the gods, basically parents of like Zeus and Hades and Poseidon. So they are well beyond normal. That's well beyond normal strength level. Has survived all but what the hell? What did I write here? I can't. I wrote this down so long ago because this was one I've had on my back burner for a while. That it was back when I was kind of scribbling my handwriting. He can survive all but the most powerful hits, basically, powerful attacks. He can survive being impaled. If he dies, he goes straight to the underworld, though. He can kill immortals, so immortality doesn't mean a damn thing in this fight. He has danger sense, great accuracy with his ranged weapons like his bow. He has scars on he's a very scarred individual. Resistant to most forms of magic, times, illusion, soul manipulation. His repertoire of weapons include the Blades of Exile, which the standard ones he carries, which are blades on a chain that he can swing, and they have a fire ability. Army of Sparta, which summons spirit phalanx, throw spears, all on things along those lines, rain arrows. He's a puzzle solver. He's cruel and destructive. Blade of Olympus can kill gods and titans. Power of the gods, energy waves, things along those lines. The Golden Fleece is basically is not indestructible, but it's stronger than relatively anything in the God of War universe. So it can defend off things like the Blade of Olympus itself, most magical attacks. But its Golden Fleece doesn't wrap his entire body. Bow can rapid fire flaming shots if he wants to. The wings of Hermes can fly, glide, and stun. He can rip souls out with the claws of Hades. And the wings of Hermes, he can run extremely fast and up walls with Hermes' wings. But he can be killed. He's not immortal. He just can kill immortals. He's a demigod. And he's the god of war, and he's a supreme badass. He's also got, the combat skills of a Spartan warrior, so he's got that going for him. Then we have Death. Death is cold, arrogant, ruthless, sarcastic, and calculating. He's also quite cunning. So he has super strength. He was able to take on things like angels. I actually haven't finished the game, by the way, so I don't know the full roster of his abilities in terms of the game, but able to take on titans and large creatures, things along those lines. So his durability is also quite high. He's very acrobatic. He's able to climb up walls, scale walls, no problem whatsoever. His Harvester Scythe, his main weapon, is a shape-shifting scythe that can, take on either, a dual function, two blades at once, one solid blade at once. His horse Nightmare can come and aid him and give him travel, but that wouldn't really matter in this fight. His abyssal armor has life gaining amplitude, so it increases his life. Excuse me. Major damage is usually reduced. He can summon and commune with spirits. He's Despair. That's his name of the horse, I believe. But he's a puzzle solver as well. Well, he has psychic strength, force of will. Basically, he's resistant to psychic. Neither of these guys are really going to be doing any sort of illusions or mental manipulation, but they're both psychically resistant. He can see through illusions, break telekinetic grasps, things along those lines. He can move objects much larger than himself, create tremors when striking the ground. His gun redemption is basically from his brother Strife, the horseman. It can rapid fire 10 shots at once, has a 5-second reload time. His death grip basically has a phantasm armor, because you can either basically pull him up onto ledges or pull an opponent towards him. He has the ability to called Voice Phase Walker, which when there are portals around, he can, make a portal and then make a portal to second place and then move to that place. You can use an ability called Teleport Slash, which using a Harvester Strike is an unstoppable teleportation slash, which can be used to avoid opponents and hurt the opponent. He's capable of summoning ghouls, which can have several abilities, including being capable of burning opponents. He can summon a Murder of Crows, which can frenzy and blind the opponent. Soul Splitting splits his soul into two. He can his main body remains motionless, while his secondary body can go off somewhere and do something so long as it's within a certain range. That body can still do physical damage. It can attack and do all that. The main body stays put into his actual Reaper form and is completely and utterly invulnerable. When taking his Reaper form, he gains the power of flight, 9 invulnerability, telekinetic abilities, minor teleportation, energy waves, energy projectiles, and necromantic effects, basically, rotting, decaying effects. So he's a beast when he goes into Reaper form. You're going to find very few individuals that can withstand him in Reaper form. But we're going to see today if Kratos can. So, without further ado, how does the fight break down? Well, the fight breaks down as a death visits the world, God of War world. Now, in the context of, God of War, he wouldn't be Hades, because Hades is the god of death. He is the horseman of death. He is the emissary of death. So he finds Kratos, and Kratos and him, interact briefly. Kratos being Kratos don't give a fuck. He don't have time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. He ain't got time for death. It's like, I've killed gods. I've killed God of Death himself. I shall now slay death itself. Death comments that it doesn't seem neither god nor human. He's something in between. And then Kratos goes, and I shall strike death down. I shall strike death down and be something or other. I don't know. I wrote down a little bit. I could write down a little bit of the personalities. And so the fight commences with Kratos, flowing the blades of exile. He comes and, Death uses a teleportation slash, avoids the blades and just slashes Kratos. Kratos' fleece absorbs most of the blast or blow, but he takes a small cut on his chest, like, and so he gets a minor slash, but otherwise he's fine. Kratos swings the blades at Death once again, who blocks it this time, obviously not having time to teleport. Death comes in with Kratos comes in with how did I write this down? The claws. Because there's also I believe it's like shock. He's got claws that are like shockwave claws. Comes in, uses a shockwave. Death counters with his own claws. And Death also has claws, axes, a whole bunch of marinated weapons, but his scythes are his main ones. Goes in with their claws, and they're relatively even with their close combat at that point. So yeah. I know, yeah. But Death's just like, Kratos, being a smart warrior, has, I think, a slight edge in actual martial combat. So Death's taking a few hits, and then Kratos, again, being a Spartan, actually gets a lucky shot on his head, or not a lucky shot, but eventually gets like a shot or skids his elbow, just boom. That's when Kratos suddenly grabs him again, just boom, knees him in the stomach. Goes back for, and that causes Death goes, get the blades of exile again. About to decapitate him. Death pulls out redemption, just goes boom, 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 boom. Starts firing into it. Just do. Kratos just suddenly goes back, having, being a god in, ancient Greek, you don't go up against bullets very often. So he's taken back by this, and the bullets would hurt Kratos because these are bullets that can hurt deities, corrupted entities, far Nephilim kind of individual. Basically, not what's the best way to put it? Because he has fought like kind of god individuals, corruption and things on a biblical divine level. These bullets can hurt. This gun can hurt. So he's taken back by being shot by redemption. It hits on the honor. Sorry, Chris. Okay. Hits. Yeah, I wrote an arm. Steps. There we go. Yeah. So, pulls redemption, hits on the. It basically not now. I remember. Sorry. Again, I was busy writing this out earlier. So hits him a redemption. Then he briefly he's injured. Chris is injured, but he's also briefly unarmed, but comes out and he grabs it and he's about to go in front of it, but then Death uses his grip to move away, all while summoning ghouls on the ground to attack Kratos. He's also avoiding another long-range shot from Redemption, which easily has a time to reload from 5 seconds. Kratos is basically having easy time ripping through the ghouls. But he's also taking shots from Redemption at the same time. Death slams down with one of his hammers to shake up Kratos, which does work. Just boom, a giant hammer from Death, which also have elemental effects to a degree, but that doesn't really come into major play. But yeah, Kratos is like his bones are creaking a little bit, but he's fine otherwise. Tries to steal Kratos' soul, but Kratos resists it and tries to do the same thing to Death with the claws of Hades, and just and while it might hurt because it caught Death off guard, Kratos is like, why can't I steal your soul? And then Death honestly would just look and is like, you must be joking. And then Death just splits from his normal body, and now you just got the Reaper form there. He splits. He's hanging. He quickly backpedals there. Kratos is just flabbergasted for a second, just sees the statue and thinks, "Oh, I'll just destroy the statue." At this point, he's swinging his blades, and that's not doing anything. And he says, "Screw it! I'm going to use the blade of Olympus." And at that point, he's about to. And before I continue to fight, the blade of Olympus is all powerful. Well, not all powerful. It's extremely powerful against us. It's a god-killing weapon. But it is said that his statue is invulnerable. So I'm going on the belief that statue, even if he hit it with the god blade, would be invulnerable and wouldn't, die. But just he's about to swing the blade of Olympus, Death reappears, except now he's still in the Reaper form, and then grabs Kratos' hand, and then Kratos then looks at this basically Death incarnate, and he would probably be at least a little taken back by this being, maybe just like the hell. It's like, it is time to end this. Or let us finish this. And then, no, they go back and they start trading blows. Energy blasts, necro blasts, God of Olympus blades. And Death will not come out unscathed in this. He's nigh invulnerable in that form, but this is a god-killing weapon. He's going to take a couple hits, probably going to take a couple slashes. I don't believe he'd be impaled. He's mobile and agile enough in that form to avoid being impaled, but he'd definitely take a few hits. Kratos, the parts on them with the fleece would probably be fine. Everything else, though, he's going to be taking some hits, man. He's going to be taking a slice, maybe even a skewer. Necrotic energy and death magic is now creeping into his being. So he's now got this. So once this mesh of just blades clashing, energy clashing, Death versus a demigod going at it, and then Death reverts to his normal form. Probably panting, just Kratos is now panting because he can feel himself, and now he's rotting. He's like, "What? What did you do?" It's like, I am Death. I am Death. I can't do that voice. He's got a cool, really cold, almost Brit voice, which I dig. It's like, I am Death. I control all aspects, life and death. And right now you are feeling the full effects of that. So, Kratos realizes that he might die, so he's gonna take out Death, who is also tired. But Death is also extremely tired as well. So maybe Kratos Kratos brings out the arrows, brings out his arrows, goes bing ding ding ding. And that's maybe doing something, maybe that's not doing anything. Maybe Death gets an arrow in the chest and just it's like burning arrow. And then Kratos, using the last bit of energy he has, uses those Hermes feathers, wings, whatever they are, his boots, do a quick charge to basically take off freaking Death's head. All right, that last moment, quick draws the redemption, and then does 10 clean shots right to his dome. Just do 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 do, and then just Kratos stops right, and it's like that blade's like right there, and Death's just looking at him, and Kratos still probably have at least some brain function. Just it's like, it was a good, and just maybe has like a last chuckle, says it was a good fight, or it was a good fight. Boom, and then just drops dead. So, as you can basically see, as I've declared this fight, I believe Death wins in the long run against Kratos. Now, the reason for that is Kratos has, in terms of their weaponry, they both actually have a lot of varying weaponry. Most of Death's is all melee oriented, whereas Kratos has a couple long range, but also he also has just a couple supplementary items, whereas Death has just many more actual weapons. Death also has many more abilities he can use, and an actual stronger form than his base form. But also, and this is one some people are probably going to argue with me, and if you argue with me, fine, you can do it in the comments. Just be respectful about the argument. Is that Kratos has fought gods and titans and beasts of all kind, all from the Greek mythology, all that, and he's going to take on the Norse ones in the new game, if that game hasn't already come out yet. Death is fighting things that are a little beyond the concept of just the earthly pantheon of the deities of Greek mythology. Death is fighting biblical representations of corruption, the Nephilim, Titans that can't necessarily be explained. He's fighting angels. He's fighting true like hellspawn demons. And to me, that's a different type of opponent than just fighting these gods, these beings. And yeah, he's fought a couple gods too. But yeah, to me, that's a different type of opponent, and on a slightly different level than the gods are. The gods are just deities. They're beings of divine power, but they can be destroyed. So are these things, but these things can corrupt even gods and destroy gods in their own right. And Death is fighting these things and killing these things, and more or less having an easier time doing that than, say, Kratos does at fighting the gods. Kratos, he beats them, but he still struggles because he is still a mortal person. And Death still struggles too, but Death is Death. He is the horseman of death for a reason. So, but I give this only like 65% out of 100. 65% of the time, I think Death wins, because I do believe there's a scenario where Kratos does, use get that shot in where he takes off, Death's head, or they've completely exhausted their complete arsenals, and Kratos still has a weapon on call. He can still use his Blades of Exile what was it? The Spartan, the Spirits of Sparta kind of effect. So there's scenarios where Kratos definitely wins, but I think I give the majority of the fight to Death in this regards. But let me know what you think. If you think differently, that's cool. Let me know. I'm going to be back actually with a little bit. I'll upload the videos tomorrow, but I'm going to be back in a little bit with 2 other videos, basically my Thursday videos. Tomorrow, by the way, will be The Great Wall. Yeah, that's going to be fun. If nothing else, it looks at least like a fun bad movie. But anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you.